What's going on, everyone? So, reports came out yesterday that the Denver Nuggets are looking at Zach Lavine. Not happy about that. I really want the Lakers to go and pursue Zach Lavine. But we got reports today that the Denver Nuggets are pursuing Brandon Ingram, that he is another person on their list, that they want to kind of go get that other star. They want to kind of go make that big splash. Now, Tyler, why are you talking about Denver on a Laker channel? Well, outside of the obvious that Denver just continues to whoop us, right? Like the point is that you're seeing a team that has championship aspirations, right? Team that just won a championship recently, 2 seasons ago, that the Lakers lost to in the conference finals and just got not swept, but gentlemen swept in the next round. So a sweep followed by a gentleman sweep. And yet they're continuing to push for that other piece to shot create, help take pressure off of their two guys in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. But people don't want the same thing with the Lakers. And LeBron James, who is 40 in year 22 and already dealing with a foot injury, already dealing with a foot issue, and Anthony Davis, right? That's why I've talked about, right? Like, look at these top teams. They're not insanely deep. Right? They have this incredible front-end talent. Boston won the championship. They were like 6 deep, maybe 7 if you count Pritchard, but he's better this season than he was last season. And even still then, right? He's probably not playing heavy minutes come playoff time. And then you look at Denver when they won. They were 6 deep. I mean, Christian Brown was their 7th guy as a rookie, and he didn't make a 3 till like the finals or whatever, right? Like, it's one of those things where you need the talent. Right? And more so than the Lakers. My point is, if it's good enough for Denver, shouldn't it be good enough for the Lakers? Right? If Denver's looking at it as like, hey, this guy can help solve and take a lot of pressure off of our stars and also raise our ceiling, why shouldn't we go do that? Right? And then they're willing to trade a Michael Porter Jr., right, to go in order to do that. Now, look, if the Lakers don't have anything that compares to a Michael Porter Jr., so if Michael Porter Jr. is really on the table for a Brandon Ingram or a Zach Lavine, even if the Lakers want either of those guys, it's gone. But you keep getting these reports that the Lakers aren't really interested in that. They're not really looking for that. And if the Denver Nuggets get either of those guys, chances are we're not beating them. Unless somebody else ends up taking them out, chances are we're not beating them. Right? Because we already struggle. And I know a lot of people look at, well, Michael Porter Jr., he's the one that kills us and all stuff. Yeah, but at least we know how to defend him, right? He just shoots the lights out, right? Like, he just kind of can't miss when he plays the Lakers. But he's more predictable. When you get a guy like a Zach Lavine, he can beat us multiple ways. Right? He's not just going to be settling and be a spot-up corner shooter or, top of the key three-point shooter. He's a guy that can just beat our guys off the dribble, create for himself, right? Like, that's one of the struggles that Denver has that would still provide the offensive firepower and offensive punch that a Michael Porter Jr. does when he's on, but also unlocks and opens another layer that Denver just doesn't currently have, right? Same thing with a Brandon Ingram. Now, Brandon Ingram, for the Lakers, I've talked about, right? And he is a safer bet for both Denver and the Lakers, right? Because he is an expiring contract. He wants 40 or 50 million, which I don't see anybody, even if Denver trades for him. Maybe they would do it just because, they don't want to trade Michael Porter Jr. and just lose Brandon Ingram for nothing. So they might kind of be put in a position where they don't have a choice. But I don't see Brandon Ingram getting 30, 40, 50 million somewhere, maybe like 30 million range, 25, 30 million. I could see like 4 years, 100 million, 4 years, 120 million, somewhere like that for Brandon Ingram. But I've even talked about the Lakers going and acquiring Brandon Ingram and kind of having him in a win-win situation, right? Because if it works, great. Work out a new deal. Now you got Brandon Ingram and Anthony Davis post LeBron James, but for right now, you got another guy that can create and do his own thing. I know Brandon Ingram's hurt right now. I know the injury issues and concerns, but again, the Lakers go get Dorian Finney-Smith and Day'Ron Sharpe. Does it make us better? Yes. But does it make us a contender? No. Right? Like, that's what I've talked about. That's why I say we need 3 or 4 guys. Now, if the Lakers got a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Cody Martin, a Cam Johnson, and a Day'Ron Sharpe, then yes, now I think collectively ceiling has raised enough to where it matters. But unless the Lakers get 4 guys, chances are you need that real ceiling raiser. Which is why Denver's looking at too. They're looking at it as like, we're not like, why go get 2, 3, 4 guys? That's just so much harder to do. And let's just go get a guy that is the equivalent to 2 or 3 guys, right? And that'll give you that consistency and give you that production, right? The difference between stars and role players is the consistency and what they can bring on a nightly basis and that extra level in which they unlock. That's why teams, you need stars. No one's ever won with just a bunch of role players, right? Like, you need those stars. You need those guys that can complement and be those stars for you. And you look at a team like Denver and some of these other teams that are wanting to win, that want to compete, that want to win now, they're the ones that are pushing for these other stars. Yet the Lakers are like, oh, hey, no, we don't want that guy. We don't want that guy. We don't want that. But the thing is, you could still get your other targets and still go get these guys, right? Zach Lavine could be had for pennies on the dollar, right? Same thing with Brandon Ingram, could be had for pennies on the dollar. And you could still go get a Dorian Finney-Smith. You could still go get a Day'Ron Sharpe. You could still go get the other things you need. But instead of going and getting 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, right, you could go get a Brandon Ingram. You go get a Zach Lavine and then get a Dorian Finney-Smith and a Day'Ron Sharpe, just using them as an example, whatever, or a Cody Martin or whatever. And now you're at the point where you're at contention. And take pressure off of a 40-year-old, year 22 star, right? LeBron has shown he still can bring it. He's still got it, but he can't do it every single night. And people are talking about, oh, well, our offense isn't a problem. Like, it is. It has been. Right? Lakers were top 4 in offense when Anthony Davis was playing at an MVP level and averaging over 30 a game, and LeBron James was averaging like a 25-point triple-double, right? And then, so basically, they had to collectively give you essentially 60 points a game, and we were still barely squeaking by teams. And take into account, again, context matters. All the teams we were playing didn't have their stars or were missing a bunch of key players. And yes, we're missing a couple guys too. Big difference between Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood and like Ja Morant and Desmond Baines, right? They're top 2 guys. Like, there's a big difference in those kind of comparisons. And then we started playing like teams that actually, I guess, and we've been getting ran through, right? Teams are starting to get healthy, and guess what? We're getting ran through, right? We're 29th in total offense since the Orlando game. That's an 11-game sample set. It's like half the games we've played that we're not good enough because we're so reliant on LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if they have even a good night, not great night, just a good night, we lose, right? Like, and as much as I'm big on like a Dorian Finney-Smith or something like that, you need to go get a guy that can really kind of lay the foundation, lay the groundwork. But the problem is I don't know if the Lakers will do that. Right? I don't know if the Lakers will actually make the push to go do that. My hope is that Denver kind of exploring and looking to get this, right? Maybe that'll kind of push the Lakers to go like, right? Like, let's say Denver gets Brandon Ingram. Does that push the Lakers to now go get Zach Lavine? Or vice versa, right? Like, let's say Denver goes and gets Zach Lavine. Does that push them to go get Brandon Ingram? Right? Like, that could be a possibility. But the Lakers, I mean, look, regardless, Lakers got to do something. Right? Pick a direction. You either you're pushing your chips in and you're trying to get you as close to a contender as possible, which is, people ask Tyler, why do you want Zach Lavine so bad? Why do you want? Because he's the closest player that we can acquire that gets us to a contention ceiling, right? Like, unless we get 4 or 5 guys and essentially revamp this entire roster, right? Like, we're not reaching contention status. But a guy like a Zach Lavine and then one mid-tier guy and like one low-tier guy could be the difference, right? Because the ceiling is just so much higher raised with a guy like a Zach Lavine or a Brandon Ingram because of what they're able to do. They can create for themselves. They can create for others, right? On a bad night is usually not bad compared to like a bad night for our guys is like, 6 points on 2 of 12 from the floor. A bad night for some of kind of these all-star caliber guys is, 15 points or whatever, or, 12 points or whatever, which is that's a big difference. I mean, that's the difference between you winning or losing a game. Right? You have extra 6 to 8 points on a bad night, right? And on top of just the gravity that they draw and everything else, right? It's just the Lakers need to kind of either need to push your chips in and make that big splash, make that big trade, or talk to LeBron. Be like, hey, man, you want to go to the Warriors? Right? Let's just hit the reset button. I wouldn't trade Anthony Davis yet. I would trade him in the offseason, right? Because your hope is that like an OKC loses in the second round again or something like that. They just lost in the end-season tournament, right? So if they follow that up with like a first or second round loss, you can kind of really put like, hey, you know what might put you over the top? Anthony Davis, right? So if I was the Lakers, I would, if you're not going to go and really do what it's going to take in order to win a championship, or at least get you close, right? Like my thing, look, it very well may take this season and the offseason, which has a lot of good potential talent. Now, obviously, that could change, especially with the new CBA rules where teams can sign their players before free agency ever begins. Some of those guys might be off the market, but a lot of those guys are probably still going to be on the market. So you could go make that push. You could go get that guy or two. And then with LeBron's ability to take a discount and the salary cap going up, right? Like you could maybe get that final piece or two that you need to really now go compete and try to win a championship before LeBron rides off in the sunset. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How do you feel? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.